Colorless Lugia is one of the strongest decks in the current standard format, and according to win rate, is actually the highest on Play.Limitless with a 56% win rate. And personally, I've been playing this deck a ton of on stream on the channel lately, and I've amassed a 52-14-3 record, or good for a 78% win rate. But still, this deck remains kind of underrated because it's still just having a 1.5% usage rate. But today, I'm going to change that. I'm going to teach you all the skills you need to know to mastering this Lugia deck so you can really maximize its potential in the current standard format. First, we'll take a look at the list I've been running for the last few tournaments. This feels very close to optimal. Really, the only card that I could see myself taking out is Echoing Horn, but it is integral for a couple matchups, especially Charizard EX. But really, I feel like the list is very consistent, but also we sort of have the correct tech cards to beat the matchups that we want to beat. Really, the goal of this Lugia deck is going to be getting 2 Archeops from the discard pile onto the bench. So you see this list is trying to have as much ball search and as much discard synergy as possible. Because then once we get those Archeops in the discard pile, we can use Lugia's Summoning Star to put them onto the bench, and then Primal Turbo can be used for the rest of the game to power up all of our powerful basic Pokemon. And what's kind of cool/weird about this Lugia deck is a lot of our effort is front-loaded onto the early turns to get those Archeops into the discard pile, and then after that, we're pretty much playing off the board. All we have to do is find our attackers, and then find those like annoying cards like Boss, Serena, and Iono to try to slow our opponent down or aggressively win the game. Early game sequencing is vital for this deck. If you ever have a hand that has Lugia VSTAR, Lumineon V, and then a draw supporter, or you just have ball search cards to be able to find those Pokemon, what I love to do is just, as long as we have one Lugia V in play, just use Lumineon to find Professor Burnet, and since we have that draw supporter in hand next turn, we can use Burnet to guarantee get down both those Archeops, and we still have that draw supporter in hand to follow up next turn and keep advancing our board state. Or we also have Squawkabilly as an option on the early turns. So if you ever have a hand like this, where you have lots of ball search cards, or I could technically hold this and have Ultra Ball for Lumineon, and then Ultra Ball for Lugia VSTAR, and have that guaranteed 2 Archeops down. What I prefer to do would be Ultra Ball, use Ultra Ball to grab 1 Archeops a piece, and then use Squawkabilly to discard both of those, because I could hold my hand like it is, and if I get Iono'd or judged or something, then I lose my whole combo pieces, and I'd much rather just Squawkabilly to put them all into the discard pile, and just all I need next turn is to find a Lugia VSTAR, no matter what my opponent does. Now that you know how to sequence Lugia, I want to break down the matchups. And to make this simple, I'm going to break this down into Snorlax matchups and Wyrdeer matchups. This does not mean you cannot use Snorlax in games where you're supposed to use Wyrdeer, or vice versa. The thing is, if you want to use Wyrdeer to win a game, it's not super efficient to use Snorlax, the 2-shot Pokemon. That's pretty intensive on your energies, and you will run out of energies like before you can use a big Wyrdeer to one-hit a Pokemon. So we're trying to use Snorlax up against more single prize based matchups like Gardevoir and Giratina. Against those Lost Box decks, Snorlax is just such a threat for them. They really don't have an efficient way to deal with it. And then against Gardevoir, we're throwing any sort of single prizer we have at them, and just hoping that we can win the prize race. It is important to note that Drapion is a very good attacker against Gardevoir if they do try to go for a Miracle Force with their big Guardy, and then just hope that you can't one-shot. We have Drapion for weakness and take a big one-hit knockout. Whereas everything else like Charizard, Arceus decks, Chien-Pao, Miraidon, Mew, and Urshifu are all Wyrdeer matchups where we want to be setting up 2 Lugia Vs to hold most of our energies. They can 2-shot or even 1-shot their evolving Vs, and then they can tank hits so we can pass the energy off onto Wyrdeer. I didn't put Mirror in this category because it's kind of weird where we can use Wyrdeer to take big knockouts, or we can transition into Snorlax, and if just sort of depends on how the flow of the game goes. But generally, if you go first, we should be more consistent, and we should be winning against those single strike mirrors. For those Arceus matchups like Charizard, Artina, or just really any Arceus deck, going first is extremely important. We want to take those first 2 prizes with Tempest Dive, and we'll usually be finding our next 2 prizes with a big Wyrdeer knockout, and then we'll be closing out the game with Echoing Horn to put down one of their Vs, and then either using Lugia VSTAR or Radiant Charizard to take our last 2 prizes. Up against Chien-Pao and Miraidon, it's very important that you take the first knockout, because these are decks that can pretty much one-shot all of our guys and can set up quickly and race us as fast as possible. So against Miraidon, I think if we don't take the first prize, we're probably going to lose, and really the only way we can we can fix things if we throw Radiant Charizard in their face, take a big 2-prize knockout, and hope that they don't have boss's orders. Chien-Pao is a bit easier because they're going to be slower, they don't have Path to the Peak. but it still can be difficult if they can set up quickly. Mew is a fairly simple matchup. We'll be taking our first knockout with Drapion, and then whilst also pumping a ton of energies in play for Wyrdeer, and then we taking our second 3-prize knockout with Wyrdeer. If they decide to go with a Meloetta in the early turns, we can use Lugia V STAR with a V-Guard energy, which will most likely be holding the energies to take that one prize. And then instead of the Wyrdeer step, you could boss a Genesect to close out the game. The Urshifu matchup is fairly easy. As long as we can set up quickly, we have Lugia that can two-shot their guys, or even we can use boss swords and stuff to take early 2-prize knockouts. And if we can use Wyrdeer to take out their only Urshifu, it's very hard for them to one-shot a Wyrdeer all in one turn. That card usually gives an insane amount of value. And for these Wyrdeer matchups where we always strive to use Wyrdeer to take 4 prizes, sometimes it's not possible. So do remember, even if you do end up losing a ton of energies for a mid-game Wyrdeer, we do have Radiant Charizard as a nice closer that only uses 1 energy. And a lot of the times in the early game, like against like an Artina, an Urshifu, or just something that has like one attacker that can one-shot Wyrdeer but the other part of their deck can't, I'll be prioritizing gusting those guys down so my Wyrdeer can get as much value as possible. Well, that's all I got for my colorless Lugia guide. I tried my best to keep this as concise as possible, and if you still are confused about anything, feel free to leave any questions in the comment section down below. If you got any value out of this guide, please let me know by smashing that like button and subscribing to my channel. And if you're still not a believer in colorless Lugia, here is a stream where I got second in a 200 player tournament with colorless Lugia, so you better go check it out.